Good evening and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. This meeting of the Sioux Falls City Council will begin in a few moments. The City Council meets on the first, second, and third Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock p.m. and serves as the city's policymaking and legislative body. Each meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order unless those guidelines conflict with city ordinance or charter. City Council meetings offer an opportunity for citizens to speak directly to their elected representatives. Those in attendance are invited to address the Council during the public input segment at the beginning of the agenda. At that time, any issue that is not subject to formal action later in the agenda can be addressed. Testimony that concerns a resolution or an ordinance's second reading is only allowed when those specific agenda items are being addressed by the Council. When addressing the Council, citizens should speak directly into the microphones at the podium and state their names for the record after being recognized by the Chair. To accommodate and respect all viewpoints, citizen comments are limited by ordinance to no more than 5 minutes each. Comments should be respectful and focused on providing new information that will benefit the Council's deliberative process. The Chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers. City Council meetings are broadcast live on CityLink and online at www.siouxfalls.org. Information regarding the City Council, its committees, meetings, briefings, and members is available by visiting www.siouxfalls.org/council or by calling the Council office at 605-367-8085. Thank you for your interest in Sioux Falls City government.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Today is Tuesday, February 9th. Our first call of business will be introducing you to your City Council.
Council members Karski.
Here.
Kiley. Rolfing.
Here.
Staggers.
Present.
Anderson.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Erpenbach. Here. Jameson.
Here.
Councilors, thank you so much for being here tonight. In Sioux Falls, we start our City Council meetings with an invocation. And we're very, very pleased to have Reverend David Kramer back to lead us in that invocation. Welcome, Reverend. Reverend David is from All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church here in Sioux Falls. And what we'd ask you to do is to stand for the invocation and then remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend David.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the community. Today is Mardi Gras, so I wore this tie. There are more colors in this tie than I think in the Super Bowl halftime show. Okay. I have a little story to tell about this. I bought this a couple of years ago at Goodwill for $2. I thought I needed to spice up my wardrobe a little bit. And I got it home, and I looked more closely, and I see that it is of the Rush Limbaugh collection. I am a Unitarian Universalist minister, and if you know anything about Unitarian Universalists, you might find some irony in that. I know I do. But I have really come to like this tie, and there might be a little lesson in this nation, in this land. We are a land of many colors, many political persuasions. We need not all be of the same color. We need not all think alike to be beautiful together. So in this tie, there are Mardi Gras colors, green and purple and gold. You might know that those are Mardi Gras colors that have been part of that celebration for more than 100 years, declared official Mardi Gras colors by Rex, the king of the carnival, back in the 1800s. And they are not random. They stand for something. Green for faith, gold for power, and purple for justice. I really like the fact that this celebration is built on faith and power and justice. In that spirit, please join me in prayer. Gracious God, power of the universe, source of our faith, exemplar of justice. Fill our lives with inspiration. Show to us all the many colors of this world. Help us become our best selves. May faith lead us to more justice in our lives and in the lives of all around us. May faith lead us to speak truth to power. May our government be a government of all people, not just some. May it work to serve and to protect even the most marginalized among us. May this body and this community celebrate and honor its many gifts: a thriving economy, a diverse population, entertainment, arts, music, beautiful parks, functional infrastructure, all of the good things envisioned by the framers of this nation who wrote originally of life, liberty, and happiness. May we find gratitude. May we be humble in ourselves. May we be accepting of one another. And may the good times roll. Blessed be. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. Very, very special proclamation I'd love to read, but I need some folks to join me, please. Good to have you back. Welcome back. Welcome. So who would like to introduce these great people here tonight? Is there a spokesperson of the group? Don't fight over it. Don't. Welcome back.
My name is Polly Ramus, and my husband and I have a son named Ethan Ramus, who was born with a congenital heart defect about 11 years ago. And when I was going through the whole experience of figuring out what we were going to do with Ethan and trying to find other families that were going through the same thing we were going through, we realized that there was not a support group here in the eastern part of South Dakota for us to be seeking out some support for. So Sherry Long, along with myself, started our Mended Little Hearts of the Sioux Empire 9 years ago. And we keep growing every year. And we are now at a point where congenital heart defects are the #1 leading killer for children and the leading cause of disability in children. 1 in 110 kids are affected with a congenital heart defect, and many of them here in South Dakota are flown away for surgeries because there are no medical support team that can provide the surgeries that we need for our kids. So when Ethan was born, he was flown to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I believe everybody has flown to Ann Arbor, Michigan that is representing our very large group, but very small support group that's here tonight. So my Ethan was born with transposition of the great arteries. He has had 1 surgery and follows up with a physician every year here at Sanford. And we deal with problems that are not able or that are not needing surgery and can be handled without medication. So we are very lucky for what he is had happened to him and the surgical support that he has had.
My name is Carrie Ranke, and our heart warrior is Dylan. She turned 12 in December. She's undergone 2 open heart surgeries. Her first one was at the age of 2 to close a VSD, or a hole in the septum wall. For that one, we had to drive to Minneapolis. And then when she was 8, she needed her aortic valve replaced. She underwent the Ross procedure. That one we drove out to Michigan for. We found out afterwards that on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about an 11 on the difficulty range. So that was a fun fact to learn. And now we're back in a holding pattern for open heart surgery number 3 because the donor valve she received during that Ross procedure is starting to show significant signs of calcification. So every 3 months we go in with I hope this isn't the appointment, but we are sooner rather than later on that one, and that one too will be back in Michigan.
I'm Sherry Long, and this is my heart child, Gabe Long. He had transposition, actually the same thing as Ethan, and had open heart surgery at 5 days old, and goes in once a year here in Sioux Falls to the care hospital, and hopefully that's his only surgery, and he's doing really well. So.
Okay, I'm Rick Burns. This is my little warrior, Colton. He is just about 2 years old. He has truncus arteriosus type 2, and just December he actually went through his 20th procedure. He has had 3 open heart surgeries and 18, 17 other surgeries. So.
One thing with these heart kids is that a lot of times they do have additional disabilities or medical issues over and on top of just the heart. So again, the heart surgeries alone are generally not a true representation of what their medical binder ends up looking like at the different stages of their life. So there's a lot of different ways that we find support in this group outside of just the heart defect portion.
Where the proclamation reads, whereas the health and well-being of all children throughout our city are of paramount importance to the Sioux Empire families and communities. Whereas thousands of children are born with birth defects every year, including approximately 40,000 children in the United States who begin life with 1 or more than 35 identified forms of congenital heart defects. Whereas congenital heart defects are among our city's most common birth defects, and they are often fatal. Due to their seriousness, a lack of effective medical intervention options, and the limited availability of infant donor hearts. Whereas the origins and symptoms of congenital heart defects are becoming more readily identifiable, and the range of surgical options are expanding continuously thanks to doctors and scientists' diligent research efforts and field experiences that extend our body of knowledge every day. Whereas there is much to learn about the causes of and effective treatments for congenital heart defects, and it is important for parents, pediatricians, and nurses to recognize the warning signs associated with congenital heart defects among newborns so they may provide proper treatment as early as possible. Whereas many of the Sioux Empire families and communities are directly or indirectly affected by infant illness and death caused by congenital heart defects. And I applaud the efforts of doctors and scientists everywhere who work diligently to solve life's medical mysteries and to improve the quality of life for us all. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim proudly February 7th through the 14th as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week in the Sioux Empire. And I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. I just want to thank you for coming back again. It's great to have you back again and helping to educate all of Sioux Falls about the challenges that you face, but also how you've expressed that you're warriors tackling the day and in winning. So thank you so much, and parents, thank you as well for gathering together, supporting each other on this journey as well. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Great to see you. You too. I know. Take this for me, all right? Thank you all. Council, thank you. We'll now move to our consent agenda. Council, any motions or changes to our consent agenda?
Approval, Anderson. Second, Rolfing.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve our consent agenda, seconded by Council Vice Chair Rolfing. If there's no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley, Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Council, thank you. That has passed 7-0. Our main agenda tonight, Council, any changes to that?
Move for approval, Anderson. Second, Karski.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve our agenda tonight, seconded by Councilor Karski. If there's no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Council, that has passed 7-0 as well. Now we'll move on to our public input. Folks, this is a great opportunity for you to engage the council, really on any topic that is of interest to you. If it is a topic that's later on in the agenda, we'd ask you to wait until that time. But other than that, please come forward. Introduce yourself, please, to the people of our town. And we would ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Welcome.
Hi. Good to be here with you again. I came today to talk about Ordinance 22, I think, is the item on the agenda, and it deals with the paratransit.
Pam, can I ask you, could you just introduce yourself to the people of our town, please?
Okay, my name is Pam Nelson,
Thank you.
and I'm here to talk about that Ordinance 22, or whatever it's called on your agenda, that deals with the paratransit. And I guess I would start by saying, clear back in the 70s, I was actively involved and instrumental in passing 94-142 of the All Handicapped Children Act and 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And it's been a while since then, and now I find myself here today standing up for those same people. Back then it was the right thing to do, and it's the right thing now to make sure that these people, via the paratransit use, are able to continue to be productive and active citizens in our community. In the long haul, the more independent and ability they have to survive by themselves, the less expensive it is for the people of the city, the state, and however else we need to help them make it through life. So I came to urge you to not pass an increase in the paratransit thing. Personally, my job as county treasurer, one of the things I do is administer the elderly and disabled property tax assessment freeze, which is available to people who are 65 years old or older or disabled. It is an income-based program, so you have to qualify for it. And these people are users of that paratransit system. And quite frankly, well, it's better than nothing, but it has a long way to go and could be improved. 2 hours waiting for paratransit, even if you have an appointment, is not, in my opinion, very convenient for the people who use it, but it would be better than nothing. So I think if you raise that rate, these people have very limited income. And, you know, it doesn't seem like 50 cents would be a lot, but it's a lot to those kinds of people. So I think that it's in the best interest of all of us if we keep those people independent and being able to survive on their own and productive citizens. And I think that would be a good use of our money. We're talking $60,000 here, and I think that money can be found somewhere else. And I think in the long haul, you're going to probably spend more than that if these people aren't able to get to their jobs, not able to get to their doctor's appointments and other important issues that they have to deal with in their lives. So I came to urge you tonight to not vote to increase that 50 cents increase in the paratransit rate. I appreciate you listening to my concerns, and thank you for your time.
Pam, thank you as well, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Welcome.
Mayor, Council, for the record, George Hahn, lifelong resident of Sioux Falls. Back in 1990, I introduced tax incremental financing to the community for a project that did not get built on the location of the present Minerva's Diner. It was to be a Radisson Hotel. And in the course of seeking permanent financing for it, we were scuttled by the fact that there was the Resolution Trust debacle where everything fell apart in terms of permanent financing. I dealt extensively with a gentleman out in New Jersey whom I called upon to come out here to South Dakota, look around and see what he could do to do a bonded or rated type of financing instrument. And he said, "You're not on the radar. You got 100,000 people. Nobody knows who you are, where you are. You got Citibank, and that's it." Over the last 26 years, I kept in touch with him. I learned some things from him. Out of the blue, this guy I've never met calls me up a couple of weeks ago and says, "Georgie boy, I'm coming out to Sioux Falls. You want to show me around a little?" I said, "Okay, I can do that." He was he could get here and go back to Minneapolis from his way from New York out to Salt Lake. So he comes, we meet each other for the first time. I said, "Well, show me around this boy. It looks bigger than you were telling me." First thing I went to show him was the jewel of our community, our event center. We drive around it. And he says, "What the blank is wrong with that building? It's coming apart. How old is this thing?" I said, 15 months. "You're blanking me. Looks stupid. Fix it." I said, "Well, the city got $1 million for this flaw, and there's no intention of fixing it." He said, "What kind of morons run this outfit?" Verbatim quote. We went on, we looked at other parts of the community. I spent a couple hours with this gentleman. His parting comment to me was, in very infamous words, "Fix that thing, it looks stupid." This from a person who finally came out here because our MSA, our population, our economics, our development warranted a visit from really he's a financial scout. He looks for good investments, for major investment folks out east. We're finally on the radar. Took 25 years. But to have that blotched up, silly-looking facade of the building is ridiculous. Fix it.
Thank you so much, George, for that passionate commentary. We appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council on any topic? Welcome.
Can I do Jim Sandin, Sioux Falls. 2,500 years ago, Aristotle said that a society could be judged by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens. I would suggest tonight that when the first reading of the paratransit is read, that you think about Aristotle. You're proposing a 25% increase on some of the poorest people around. And you can say to yourself, well, the rates haven't been raised since 1966 or whatever it was. I don't care how you slice it. This is a 25% increase on the poorest people, most vulnerable people in Sioux Falls. I would urge you that you not do that. These people get, on average, from Social Security a disability check of $1,100 a month, $13,000 a year. Figure your budget on $13,000 a year, and then one of your prime expenses is going to go up by 25%. Now, I have two modest proposals. You just have to do this. One suggestion would be, and we're not colluding together tonight, the city says the event center was A-OK. For some reason, contractors bestowed us with $1 million. Why not put that $1 million into a fund so that paratransit wouldn't have to be talked about for another 100 years. Another thing you could do, another modest proposal, is kill it tonight. You've killed first readings just a few months before. It is possible parliamentary-wise. You've done it. Do it tonight and pat yourself on the back. Thank you.
Jim, thanks so much. It's good to see you tonight. Folks, anybody else want to welcome?
My testimony has gotten a little shorter of what I was going to say, but I will add something to your testimony too. My name is Melanie Bliss. I live at 2021 South First Avenue, and I've lived there for 30 years. I bring you testimony with the inspiration of the pastor's Faith, Power, and Justice in Action in Sioux Falls. That was a powerful beginning to this meeting, and I feel it has to do with mine too. You all personally know that there are more than 11,500 children in Sioux Falls who are hungry, more than 3,000 households without adequate housing. These children, including the children that we saw with congenital heart disease warriors tonight, and these children that are hungry and poor, are our residents, just as much as the people who reside at Dakota Abilities need a bus ride to work every day by paratransit. We need to have our city help everyone in the city. And we must not raise the fare nor shrink the service areas being served for paratransit. We need to make our entire town accessible to people who lack mobility or transportation. We must work together to provide affordable housing so that people can afford both rent and food in the same month, and we must work to provide employment training leading to jobs that pay a living wage. You know this very well in your everyday workings with the council. You all here also know about systemic barriers. Systemic barriers are the people inside systems who have it in their heart and have it in their power to change the system to benefit people who are often invisible to the city's eyes, invisible because they do not personally experience the complexities of poverty and homelessness, the complexities of lack of mobility and lack of transportation. You could choose to do nothing to help, but please, wouldn't you choose first to work against the injustices facing so many people in our community and so many people who are often without a voice? These problems are not getting smaller. The desperation is getting bigger, just as the numbers of residents who are lined up in this city in food lines, the increasing amount of people in our city who are accessing feeding ministries to stretch their budget is increasing. And the severity of the situations being encountered is increasingly complex as we increase our numbers of residents. When you were sworn in as our city councilors and mayor, you each promised to represent all our citizens, no exceptions. Now, I hope I haven't used my 5 minutes, but with Mr. Hans, I am embarrassed that on Russell Avenue, there are rusted silos and these odd tanks of water rusted and a black helicopter that says penitentiary issued Sioux Falls, South Dakota on a building across from that event center that you took your friend from New Jersey to. It is embarrassing because it is not, I think, a symbol of our community. Rusted silos, black helicopters, and then whatever you call them, towers of prisons. This is not the Sioux Falls, it's not the way that I want my community to be represented. Thank you very much.
Melanie, thank you as well. We appreciate it. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Brachtelsbauer, and I live on Route 5 on the fixed route, and I'm also concerned about the paratransit rates. And I know some of the people who use paratransit, the ones at my church are the ones I know. And I just wanted to mention as an example of the kind of importance that extra dollar per round trip means to people who don't have a lot and yet need to get around. And there was a man at our church who died last summer, and just a wonderful man, made everybody smile to be around him, just really brightened up the world. And I just discovered recently that after he paid his fixed bills, he only had $6 of discretionary income for a month. Now, a lot of people have bills that just use up their income and don't have much left, and that's an example that seems pretty extreme, but that's what he lived with. I hope he had friends and relatives that pitched him a little more cash so he could get around, but I didn't realize that's how little he had. So someone in that situation couldn't take a lot of trips on paratransit because it's going to go from $4 to $5 if you pass this. And I just venture to guess that $60,000 additional that the city's going to get if you pass this is not as dear to our city as that dollar per ride, or the ride that they're going to lose if they can't afford it is to people who need paratransit. In other words, I think we would feel that loss a lot less as a city to lose that $60,000 that some people in paratransit would feel to lose that dollar or to lose that ride a month that they know can probably just barely afford. So I just want to urge you to not raise those fares. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you as well. Folks, anybody else?
Change the topic.
Sorry, sir, you've already had your opportunity, but thank you so much for engaging us tonight. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome.
Tim Stanga, Sioux Falls. I once know an elderly couple that had a dream that they could retire at 55, be able to do a little traveling, be able to enjoy life. Sad part about it is now he's 75, working 20 to 30 hours a week, just barely making it on their Social Security. When it comes to the 20th of the month, again, I'm going to say it, they're out of money. Why is that? One thing that I've realized coming to these city council meetings, when it comes down to the Levitt Center downtown, or fixing the Greenway, or building something in town, we don't hesitate on passing something like that. Because why? Because we forget about the 70% of the people in Sioux Falls that are just barely making it, that can't even make the payments on their bills. And why? Every time it comes down to raising taxes, what happens? We go ahead and raise taxes because why? The 70% we can push to the east side, we can do whatever we want to do, but that bubble that we represent, that's the ones we want to keep happy, again, because that's where we get our money when we want to get reelected. We got to keep people happy because we need money to get reelected, because you can't do it on your own dime unless you're Donald Trump. But I guess the thing is, what I'm looking at, and I understand that the money for the buses, if I'm correct, from the federal government is going to go away sometime soon. And we're going to have to find out how we can work on getting this bus deal taken care of. If I'm correct, I heard on the news that we saved $2 million last year on snow removal, since we didn't have to spend it. So I would advise that maybe take a little bit of that, or $2 million, excuse me, a little bit of that $2 million that we didn't spend on snow removal. Go ahead and fund that for a year. And hopefully maybe we can put a task force together of not people that put it towards the people that use it, and to find out how we can make it more efficient. You know, one thing I realized again, it was said that, and I know most city councilors are here for the citizens of Sioux Falls, but when my neighborhood came in here and said that they didn't want the homeless in their neighborhood, what happened? We didn't even shake a stick at it. We went ahead and said, yep, sorry, we're pushing them to the east side. Now what's happening to people on the east side? Instead of deadbolts on their doors, they got to come with a gun because they can't let their kids go outside and play, because they got transients, they got homeless people walking around the neighborhood. You don't know, you can't let your kids run. I think you guys got to figure out there's 70% of people in Sioux Falls that are suffering, that are just barely making it, that have 2 to 3 jobs, and you got elderly people that we should be taking care of, but yet we don't. And I'm hoping that maybe this right here, we can kill this. We can go ahead and take some of that snow removal money, go ahead and fund this for a year, and let's see if we can sit down and see if we can come up with some way of being able to fund this.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Welcome.
Might as well talk to agenda tonight. This is Sierra from Sioux Falls.
And Sierra, could you just give us your last name too, please?
Broussard.
Thank you, Sierra.
You know, I have dealt with the motels and hotels, and I had said before February there was going to be a murder, and there was, in a budget hotel. There's too much crime here. There is a lot of homeless people here, and I'm going to say it, but there's a lot of people that want a handout here. We have to stop giving hands out to the poor people. Get a job. What would they do if it would be Mexico? You work or you don't get food. You don't eat. We have a lot of resources for the homeless people, too much if you ask me. What we have to worry about is this budget motels is becoming the projects. We got the green projects, the dirty green projects of Chicago, which is called the dirty projects for a reason, the dirty green, because they're dirty and their money's dirty. And they're here in these motels and hotels. So, since we could not pass anything with this hotel and motel living, I'm going to do an initiative ballot, get the signatures that I need, and we're just going to vote on this. And then if they vote yes on this ordinance, on this motel and hotel living stuff, there's going to be a crisis here in Sioux Falls. I say to the paratransit, because I was a medical assistant for years, took care of the medical people that need the public transit. But you have to come to understand that we cannot have the paratransit here and stay at whatever rate it is. You go up on the city buses, you go up on the paratransit. The paratransit does not run off of water. The drivers have to get paid here. So all of these homeless people that say we're homeless, we're this, we're that, we're the other, you know what? I'm for the homeless people to a certain extent. But what's happening at these budget motels and hotels with this pimp and this prostitution, I'm not a fan of Julie Briggs. Why am I not a fan of Julie Briggs? Because what? Has anybody thought that Lil Wayne's coming to the event center? What is he? Drug dealer? Cocaine? Fights happen and shootings happen at this event center that's fixing to happen here on March the 1st. Okay? Lil Wayne has that reputation here. Nobody's worried about that, are they? I had to contact a council member here to contact the event center to try to get the police department to better serve them over here, because the Lil Wayne concert would be a riot here if we don't have security and the police department at this event center here. Okay? Homeless people here, the homeless people that I talk to here, people on Social Security, yes, I understand that they have disabilities, but there are a lot of people here that are working on disability, and can get up and go to work every day. If you keep having to give a handout because they're trying to play with the politicians and the hearts here, we're still going to be putting them in these hotels and motels and letting them do. Stop giving hands out. We have too much resources here. People's coming from other states here because Sioux Falls is given so much, and then they're coming here and taking up all the resources and using the resources, and they don't even need it here. We're coming from North Dakota here. We're coming from Tennessee, Florida here. Everybody's coming here. It's not because it's a good city here, because it's not. The government is messed up. First off, in the Senate House. Second of all, we have racism here. But they're not just coming here because it's a beautiful event center here. We're coming to see the beautiful event center here. They're coming to get the resources because the government's always giving their hands out. Oh, I feel sorry for you. Here you go. Here you go. This is the position that we're in. I understand council members did not come up with a conclusion with this hotel and motel living here. But if I get it on the ballot and we have a vote on it and they say yes to the city ordinance, what are y'all going to do about it? I say go up on this paratransit. It is not fair to the community that you go up on the transit. You go up on the paratransit. These homeless people are homeless for a reason. There are people that can get jobs out here. There are people that have jobs that are felons that can get jobs out here. Get up, go to work, and put into tax money and to make this a better place instead of always wanting the politicians to give out a handout to these people here. It's a disgrace that we have so many people here that are abusing the system. Now I'm going to leave it alone for tonight, and I'm leaving. I am not even staying for this paratransit stuff, but right now go up on the paratransit. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. Appreciate it. Folks, is there anybody else who wants to engage the council? Welcome.
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls. Just comments on paratransit. Kind of reminds me of this half a penny tax to pay teachers more. It's all about prioritizing. The state has the money to pay teachers more. This is a plan just to bloat the budget, move the half penny, and raise the sales tax. Got nothing to do with paying teachers more. It's the same way with paratransit. The city has the money to supplement paratransit, period. We know you do. You brag about it all the time, but when it comes down to, these kind of things, then all of a sudden we're broke. That's baloney. As for the hotel thing that Sierra brought up, I found it ironic that this guy murdered another guy with his own bare hands in a hotel that Oprah Winfrey gave money to. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, because they were such great people for giving all these hotel rooms to homeless people. And now look what happened. I don't know. But some other things I want to talk about tonight is the lack of transparency is really degrading poorly in this city. And it's been degrading a long time, and it's getting worse and worse. Great example the other day was when the Argus Leader published a 26-page document of change orders on the event center. I counted around 180 change orders on this document. The final number at the bottom of the last page was 2,080. Where are the other 12 or 1,800 change orders? Did Joe accidentally drop them when he picked them up at the city hall? Let's talk about transparency, okay? I think the next council, whoever, I see several candidates out here, they asked to change the way the interaction is with the public, with the council. When I first started coming up here and talking, the council would answer your questions, or they would say, I don't have an answer for you right now, I'll get back to you. Now there is zero interaction. Zero. None. You've made up your minds. You don't need to talk to these people. And I hope the next council pushes for that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the top 10 wins. And I'm not going to go on and on about what they all were. But during that press conference, Mayor, you talked about how you beat the Sun neighborhood in these lawsuits and all these court cases. You haven't won yet. They appealed it to the Supreme Court. It's not done. So to say that was disingenuous. And I know what the city's record is with the Supreme Court. It's not real good. It's really awful, actually. I thought that was inappropriate to bring that up while the case was still pending. Another thing, I was watching Dean Karski on inside Town Hall. Actually, it was playing when I was walking in. He announces he's running for county commission on a taxpayer-funded show. That is a violation of state law. Now, I don't know if this is Dean's fault or if it's Madeline Shields' fault to host the show or CityLink or anybody of the producers, but you can't do that. We've been repeatedly coming up here and telling you you cannot expend taxpayer money to campaign. When are you going to get it through your head? It was scripted. It was unbelievable. I wish I could come on CityLink and announce I'm running for office, but I can't. And neither should you. And lastly, I watched a friend come up here and testify for, oh God, probably 40 minutes. My friend Veronica, massage therapist. I've known Veronica since she's been about 17. She has worked diligently her whole life training in massage therapy arts in Asian and Middle East countries. To tell her she's prejudiced or racist because she's pointing out the sex trafficking going on in our massage parlors, that was ludicrous. It was I could not believe it. These women came up here and pointed out the problems and Sarah comes up here every week and points it out, the problems with sex trafficking in this town. We had a proclamation talking about sex trafficking problems. And these women come up here and tell you about it, explain to you that what you can do to fix it, and you call them racist and prejudiced. I was baffled by the whole thing. She was completely baffled. She spent thousands of hours in the Mideast learning Asian therapies and massage. I think she deserves an apology, to tell you the truth. That's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate that. Folks, is there anybody else who wants to engage the council? Welcome.
Hello, I'm David Zokaitis. Been here a few times. Probably be here a few more. I know. But last fall, I was out trimming some branches, and 4 cops gave me a hard time, and no suspicion of criminal activity. I asked them that, and they tried to set me up for various forms of attack, and I'm not very happy with that. But a bigger question is, why does this kind of thing happen? And I'm not talking about just Sioux Falls. You hear about this kind of stuff going all over the country. Well, I've spent, the last few years trying to figure this all out, and there's a little bit of information over here and a little bit over there, and I think I've got a good clue as to why this kind of thing happens. And well, from personal experience, I've certainly got some incentive to try to find some resolution. So I think what I'm going to do is keep coming back until I have analyzed all of these causes for nastiness among police. And I think we're all going to find that to be a rather difficult and perhaps painful process because, this is America. It's land of the free and home of the brave, and there's liberty and justice for all. But if you look around, that's not always the case, and it certainly wasn't the case on Blauvelt and Wayland for myself personally. But why? So we'll have to try to figure that out. And you can't really solve a problem until you can understand it. And this problem has enough complexity and enough components so that it may be a while until we understand all of these commensurate causes and can therefore find a solution. So that's why I say I'll be back. On a slightly different topic, I'd like to talk about dogs. They're cool. I used to have a couple of Siberian Huskies, but they've passed away. But, Siberian Huskies, they come out of Siberia where it's cold. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but temperatures in Siberia like -70 and the wind's blowing and there's no protection because it's Siberia. Anyway, not everybody knows what Siberian Huskies are good for. Well, I left mine out in the snow all the time. It's perfectly fine. When I used to live in White Bear Lake, a police officer came to talk to my daughter about this poor animal. Somebody left him out in the snow all day long. Well, apparently, the person who called didn't know much about huskies. So anyway, after I wasn't there talking to the call, but I called the police department and said, you know, hey, Siberian husky, perfectly happy out in the snow. Never had another problem with police and Siberian huskies in Minnesota. But here in Sioux Falls, there was a woman who was arrested for leaving her dog out in the snow for a few hours. Now, if you go and read various blog posts about this, you'll find that the officers involved are uniformly reviled on these various blog posts. So I tend to think that maybe there's a problem with police officers who need to do their homework before they go and haul people off to jail. So the reason I bring this up is it's awfully closely related to the way 4 cops went pretty much ballistic with me, and if they can do that with me, hey, why not arrest a woman for letting her dog play in the snow? I think we got some work to do.
David, thank you. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Well, thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Item number 22.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Section 124.012, raising Sioux area metro paratransit fares.
Councilor, welcome.
Thank you very much, Rex Rolfing, City Councilor at large. I want to, I understand all the testimony that's gone on before this, but I want to give some reasons why we should consider looking at the modest rate increase of paratransfers that has been proposed here. Not that we are trying to make it harder to use paratransit, but we are trying to save and make it a situation where we can continue it. Little background. Since 1996, transit fares have avoided rate adjustments to keep up with expenses and inflation. This began to change in 2015 in August when the City Council approved increases to the fixed rate schedule, but amended out a $1 increase to paratransit fares. In October, the internal audit report was presented to the City Council. One of the recommendations was a 50-cent increase in paratransit fares from $2 to $2.50. For first reading tonight is an ordinance that adopts this 50-cent increase to the paratransit fees. The basis for the fare increase is growing costs to operate paratransit. Between 2009 and 2015, the net expense per trip for paratransit has increased from $23.75 to $28.33, which is a 19% increase. The last time fares were increased was 1996, 20 years ago, and 20% of Sioux area Metro's costs were recovered by fares. But in 2014, only 10% of the cost was recovered, according to the audit report. In 2015, planning estimates that only 7% of this cost is recovered by fares. It's time to change the downward trajectory that we see on this. Everyone needs to support this type of change. The audit report compares Sioux area Metro to 9 other transit areas or agencies that are listed here. The report found that the average paratransit ride was $3.04 and Sioux area Metro had the lowest fare among this group at $2. Even with our $2.50 public increase to $2.50, Pueblo, Colorado is the lowest on there, and we're still lower than the lowest on the list. I hesitate to think that they provide less service than we do for an increased premium or increased rate. I'll bet that's a situation, that their service is not as good as Sioux Falls. This proposal adopts the audit report's recommendation to increase paratransit rates from $2 to $2.50, the first increase in almost 20 years. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says $2 in 1996 would be worth $3.02 in 2015, when adjusted by Consumer Price Index, or the CPI. Social Security costs, cost of living increases have averaged $2 or 2.25% per year since 1996. And I did some work on that and found out that if we had just gone up by the SSI or the Social Security raise, we would be needing to charge over $2.90 per ride right now. A 50-cent increase would provide $600,000 in the next 10 years that could be used for 3 or 4 paratransit buses in that 10-year period. So the change, the paratransit is a critical and necessary service to many of our citizens. Yes, it is. As stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, we routinely look at other critical city services and adjust the rates accordingly to keep up with inflation and other things. For example, water is a basic necessity of life. We have routinely adjusted water rates to keep up with the expense and inflation. Could you imagine if water rates were left at their 1996 level? We did that for about 15 years, I believe, and we had some tough decisions at that time, about 5 years ago, on raising some of those rates. We had to make that decision at that time, and we need to make it now. I would ask for your support to schedule a date of hearing for Tuesday, February 16th, 2016. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councilor Rolfing, thank you. Council, any questions of Councilor Rolfing? Very good, thank you. Is there anybody else, a councilor, who's going to speak to this item? Okay, very good. Any motions or comments, Council?
For approval, Anderson. I'll second that.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
Move for set the second reading for
you.
Tuesday, February 16th.
Councilor Anderson Jr., thank you. And Councilor Karski, thank you for the second. If there is no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. It is passed 7-0. Item 23.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving a grant of electric transmission easement.
Good evening, Chad Hebe with the Engineering Division of Public Works. This ordinance grants a 50-foot wide electric transmission easement to Xcel Energy to install, operate, maintain an electric transmission line in Veterans Memorial Park. In the early 1940s, the City of Sioux Falls granted Northern States Power Company the right to construct, maintain, and operate a transmission line over and upon certain streets and alleys in the city. A portion of this land is now Veterans Memorial Park. In the 1960s, the city then installed a sanitary sewer line very close to the transmission line. Xcel Energy is in the process of updating some of their facilities in the city of Sioux Falls. And last summer, they were in Veterans Memorial Park. They replaced their wooden poles with modern steel poles. They upgraded the line from 69 kilovolts to 115 kilovolts. And then they moved the line away from the city's sanitary sewer line. The grant of this easement is supported by the Public Works Department, the Parks and Recreation, and the Parks and Recreation Board. To simplify this is more of a housekeeping item. We're just basically moving that right that was granted in the 1940s, moving it a little bit, and now creating this easement that'll be in place. And with that, I will ask if you have any questions.
Chad, thank you. Appreciate that. Council? Yes, Councilor Rolfing.
Chad, we will be in charge or responsible for the groundskeeping around that still through the park? And
yes, we still have the right to put, the transmission line is centered in this 50 feet. We can have sidewalks underneath it. We can, we have the rights to do things, but this easement allows them to get in there, first of all, to have it there, maintain it. They can, when they did the work this summer, they had to take a lot of precautions to, disturb as little ground as they could. So, a line like this doesn't need a lot of maintenance, but it's, at some point they will be in there.
If there's some damage when they come in, they're responsible for
yes, whatever. If they come in and have to tear things up, they'll have to put it back.
Thank you. I would move second reading for Tuesday, February 16th at 7 p.m.
Second, Erickson.
Councilor Ruffing, thank you for making that motion, and Councilor Erickson, thank you for signing that.
I'm sorry, may I amend that to March 8th?
Oh, okay. Is that okay, Councilor Erickson?
Second.
Thank you. Very good. If there's no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you, Council. Item 24.
A resolution approving the release of the permanent drainage way easement located in Block 9, North Ridge Addition, to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
This permanent drainage easement is in northwest Sioux Falls, and it's just north of Maple Street and west of Career Avenue. It has been determined no public or private drainage facilities are or will be located in this easement, and the property owner has requested it be released, and engineering recommends approval.
Chad, thank you. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this item? Council?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. If no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson? Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
That has passed 7-0. Item 25.
A resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards. And if I may, Mr. Mayor, those people are Cindy Newroth for the Solid Waste Planning Board and Richard Tupper for Veterans Park Board.
Thank you. Anybody want to speak to this item, Council?
Move to approve, Karski.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Karski has made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you, Council. Council, any additional items tonight?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Councilor Erpenbach's made a motion to adjourn this meeting, seconded by Councilor Karski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Sioux Falls. Make it a great night.